Hey everybody, it's Bust with expedition number 207. Let's see what we see here. Cool, it's Quinn. I've been wanting to draft Quinn for a while. The scouted out seems like it hasn't shown up, or it's shown up at inopportune times. Cool. I'm cool to go with scouts. It's been a while. I can't even remember the last time we drafted Demacia. It's been quite a bit of time. But nonetheless, this first of the draw, Twisted Fate. I'm not real huge on actually starting out with these sea monsters. This just guarantees you have to be drafting sea monsters, so this is a reasonable start. We prefer to get the sea monsters from Jal Hunters, but whatever, you can't always do that. Starting like this, you are going to want to put a huge emphasis on your card draw. Try to hit this deep as quick as you can. Down here with Vi, this is a reasonable start. This is the 2-cost cards matter kind of theme. Pairs up with Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate provides the card draw. The Vi provides the actual 2-cost cards. It's a reasonable start. I wouldn't fault you for taking this one. It's not one of my favorite pools. It feels very medium to me. Vi is a reasonable champion. These cards are all good, but just kind of whatever about it. That's a pretty good descriptor of how this makes you feel. It's like, yeah, it's whatever. So let's take a moment. We'll pull up Scouted Out Quinn. If you're not familiar, we're looking at the site ftpbus.com. This has all of my YouTube content up in the guide section. We keep the new cards as they come out over in the set reviews. There should be some new cards coming out here in the next week or two. In the tier list section over in the tier list, the image version that some people like is accessible from there. The text version, of course, down below. But today we're going to be over in the Expedition Helper section. We're going to scroll down to Quinn. This is the scouted out version, and as the name would suggest, this is the Scouts deck. And so with this, I do really prefer to be kind of in the misfortune side of things. It's a lot easier to be in misfortune since she's so powerful, and then kind of fall back into developing all of these scouts. But nonetheless, this is okay. The big thing with this is it does tend to turn into a curve deck, so I place a lot of high value on the 1 and 2 cost combat tricks, Sharp Sight being the big one at 2 cost, Radiant Strike at 1. The big thing with scouts and combat tricks is, say that we put in an attack with any of these scouts. I was looking for Quinn Bird just to make it easier. But let's say we're going to attack with Valor with Challenger. Say we play a Riposte on it. Attack and kill a unit with that 5 attack scout, and then we catch a barrier, so we get to do it again. That's where a lot of the value in these tricks falls with like Sharp Sight, because we get to attack twice with all of these scouts. Now, the reason I say that we want the 1 and 2 cost ones as opposed to things like Riposte is we're really trying to pull off these curves where we might play Fleet Feather Tracker on 1, any 2-drop on 2, Green Fang Warden on 3. Then maybe on turn 4 we have another Green Fang Warden. There's just not a lot. If we're playing these big curve draws, there's not a lot of room for banking spell mana. Or what tends to be more the case with these style of decks is, say we don't play anything in the first 2 turns, then we play a Green Fang Warden on 3, and then a Grizzled Ranger on 4, Quinn on 5. If we're not playing combat tricks that cost 1, 2, or 3 mana after we pull that off, or if we play Fleet Feather Tracker on 1 and only have 2 mana, we're not able to play one of these scout units plus a combat trick in the same turn. So I do like to place a pretty high value on these early cheaper combat tricks. But beyond that, I mean, this is a pretty powerful card pool. These are all very good cards. They shoot up a lot in value if we're able to find Misfortune as opposed to Quinn. Things like Binding Assault just really picking apart our opponent's 1 health units, and then things like Green Fang Warden being able to trade up much easier when you have that point of damage spread on everything. But this pool does have a little bit of everything. It's got good units all the way across the curve. It's got cheap combat tricks in Sharp Sight. It's got expensive combat tricks in Riposte. Has some incredible epics in Cythria and Genvivi. It's got a little bit of everything going on here, and everything is pretty good. So we're going to take Quinn, and let's see what comes up second. We're going to look to pair this up with a combat-centric champion. But either Gangplank or Sejuani are both fine. And then of course we do see a Lux make an appearance, and just all around one of the best champions in the game. So this is pretty close. Like the problems we run into with each of these is I'm cool to just draft Lux. This does turn into just a a Lux deck, and then at least the bonuses we have going on here are with Lux we look for a lot of units as spells, right? So we want successions, reinforcements is a big one, remembrance is the big one, and then of course blinding assault fits into that theme as well, because when we're playing with Demacia, like the combat tricks aren't as good. Well, I shouldn't say it that way. The combat tricks don't do exactly what we want, right? If we're going to be sitting around playing spells, if you're in, you say Piltover, you're able to just sit there and like Mystic Shot some units. You can take care of your opponent's cards. But if you're just doing it with combat tricks, you have to have a unit on board. That takes away some of your mana and some of your cards, and you don't have a great way to just be spending mana all willy-nilly to try to generate these final sparks. But if you're putting units on the board, that works. And so that's the route we typically try to take with Lux. So we would either have to choose in on Quinn, which is unfortunate because we really want to be in Bilgewater for the additional scouts if we're going to go about it that way. We could, look to this Raiding Party Sejuani. These are all reasonable cards. It's not a thing that I think pairs out particularly well. At least the thing that we can pull off with these scouts is, we can like Flash Freeze or Frostbite, whatever we're attacking with like Quinn birds, but that feels like fairly thin. I'm not real excited about that. But this one is pretty close. Like this Gangplank, these cards are horrible. I don't like parlays, whatever. It's okay if it's in your deck. It's not the end of the world. Monkey Business is complete trash that we never want. I guess at least like the upside to Monkey Business in this style of deck is we can maybe get in a scout attack, so that we get this plunder and then we can attack with our normal attack with the powder monkey and then still have the second one come down next turn. I mean, it's possible. You can do it that way. It's kind of gross. But I don't think we want to just dive in on Lux. Maybe, I mean, I guess we can. We don't have a whole lot of choices here. We're taking an expensive champion either way, kind of dismissing this Gangplank. The scouts in Bilgewater aren't even that good. We really just want access to Misfortune. All right, well, I think we're just going to be stuck taking the Lux here. No telling if we're going to just dive in on scouts with Quinn, or we're going to follow the way of Lux. Oh, I meant to pull her up here real quick, but that's the one we're going to take. Let's take a peek at the Grand Moments Lux real quick before we take a look at that. And so I kind of touched on what we like to do with Lux, and that it tends to be the units as spells. The big ones being Succession, and then the next biggest one Reinforcements, and then the biggest one of all being Remembrance. And what we typically try to do with this deck is we don't play anything in the first 2 turns. We bank up that 2 spell mana, and then we play Remembrance on turn 3. It just gives us this gigantic unit our opponent probably can't deal with for a little while. It's not going to win the game or anything, that's for certain, but it should take 2 or 3 cards for your opponent to deal with at that stage of the game. And then it just gives you all kinds of virtual card advantages. Your opponent doesn't want to attack their 3/3s into your 5/5 with tough. And so the big thing with this, though, this costs 6 mana, and the 6 mana is what activates all of the Mage Seekers. The big one being the Mage Seeker Investigator that adds Detain to your hand, and then to a lesser degree, the Inciter is just big dude, and the Persuader as a way to interact. So Remembrance is the real key to this kind of deck, just being able to activate so many aspects of your deck really early in the game. And then as it goes to late game, right, we talk about wanting our cards to be good early and good late. This is just a real easy activation on Lux. And so adding a 5/5 to the board for 6 mana and a final spark to your hand is a pretty good deal. So that's what we tend to look for with this, is the units as spells are the kind of tier 1, I should say tier 2 possibilities. The tier 1 possibilities are you need to get removal spells, be it Detain, either via Mage Seeker Investigator or the card itself, and then the other part of tier 1 is Remembrance. Then tier 2 would be like Reinforcements and the other units as spells. Tier 3 is kind of these Mage Seekers to follow up with that aren't the Investigator. But we'll see how this comes together. There is some overlap in cards being good in both pools, like the Scouts really love back-to-back, Lux loves back-to-back, and so we'll have to see what comes out of this. As far as these cards stand, I'm going to take the Scouts. I don't want to start with back-to-back. We'll find one eventually, and hopefully it's with a card that isn't Silverwing Diver. The Diver is just, it's pretty bad. They're just not going to get a whole lot of value out of this. If this always has been kind of like a metagame type card. It used to be good in just like core set when elusives were super good. Now elusives don't appear as much, and this just isn't as important. Down here with these first to the draw, these are pretty good cards, but we're already six Demacias deep, and adding in an allegiance that's not Demacia feels fairly weak. So we're cool to just go ahead and take the big scouts. Okay. Oh well, this doesn't give us exactly the direction we're looking for, but Tiana, of course, plays extremely well with the scouts. If you Tiana on your opponent's turn, then you can get 2 attacks on their turn, or just use it on ours. And then Remembrance, of course, the spell we're looking for with Lux. It still plays fine if we're just in the Scouts deck. We haven't really committed to being in Scouts or being in Lux. We'll decide a little bit further down the road, but both of these are high-powered cards in whichever version of the deck we come into. Kind of interested in the dragons, but it's not something we need to go out of our way to find, because we'll end up picking up a handful of dragons. We'll probably get like a Scout Dragon in our deck. Having like 1 or 2 Screeching Dragons isn't the end of the world, but we'll have to see. This isn't just something I want to go out of our way to find right now. Okay, alright, well, I think this is what it's going to take to just push me into a Lux deck. We got this Investigator as the removal spell with the 1 back-to-back that we want. This is exactly the back-to-back we were looking for. When at pick 3, I said we want to find one that just has like a little bit better of a card in it, because this is something that, if we have 0, we're okay with. If we have 1, we're okay with. So we don't really need to go out of our way to find a back-to-back. But this is a pretty good way to have it. So what I think we'll end up looking to be doing here is still, Grizzled Ranger is a great defensive unit. Green Fang Warden is a great defensive unit. We're just going to try to like slow things down here and build into a Lux deck. I think this really seals the deal. I would be okay with this Concerted Strike, but these Lux cards are just way more powerful and what I would prefer to pursue. So, like, moving forward, this is our last chance to pick up something that isn't Demacia. If we want to pick up Bilgewater, this would be the pack to do it with. These cards are fairly weak. Double Up does activate our Final Spark with Lux, but it's not something I feel like we really need to be picking up. So, I'm going to let this go. We're just going to be 100% Demacia for this run. And so what do we pick from there? I'm kind of interested in the Laurent Duelist. This Mobilize is 100% garbage. But the thing we need to really look out for now is that our curve doesn't get out of order. We are looking to pick up 3 or 4 Remembrances. We want to pick up 1 or 2 reinforcements. If we pick up a Detain or something, where this is going is like everything's going to be fairly expensive. And so while I don't like Mobilize, I don't really want to be adding in a 4-drop and a 5-drop to our deck at this stage. We really need things to be if we're taking expensive cards, we really want them to be split, like how we're picking up a 6 and a 3 if we take this Double Up Bayou Brunch. This is just like the fastest way for our curve to get out of hand is if we start taking like 4s and 5s and 4s and 6s and 4s and 7s paired together. It's okay to do it, but both of the cards need to be really high value, and these aren't the real high value cards we're looking for. So I hate Mobilize, but I want these cheaps as far as this stuff is concerned. And with this, I'm still good to pick up these scouts. I mean, these are fantastic defensive units. I mean, dropping a Divine Shield, so I gotta quit saying that, dropping a barrier unit on your opponent's turn, or the double unit in Grizzled Ranger, just great at stalling the board. And these are also pretty happy with this theme of not playing anything until the 3rd turn. Like if we have a whole bunch of blinding assaults and we're trying to curve out, that stops us from having this draw where we can play Remembrance. So even if we don't start with Remembrance, if our idea is just to play Green Fang Warden on the 3rd turn, these still line up very well with us just trying to bank that far into the game. Okay, who do we got here? Reinforcements with a removal spell. That's perfect. Exactly what we're looking for. These other cards are all a little bit too combat-centric for what we're trying to pull off. Okay, Remembrance. We've got to take everything with a Remembrance. This will be our last reinforcements. I'm okay with 2. I prefer to have... I can't say. Sometimes I typically want to have 2, but... whenever we're talking about the groupings of expensive cards, this is how that grouping has to be. I'm a little leery to take this with reinforcements, because if there's a pack in the future that has a reinforcements, then 3 is actually way too many. But with it being how this is, I think that's okay to let that go. Okay, with these, I do like to have 3 investigators, and there is a unit with spell, but concerted strike is too good. Egghead Researcher is also something that plays out fantastic here. Even if we wait until turn 4 to play it, that's fine. To try to get our remembrance thing going, or on turn 2, it's great if we don't have the remembrance. Just a lot of value all across the board, help stall out the early game. Pretty happy with what that pack will bring us. Okay, Conservator Grizzled Ranger will work. We just don't need to pick up these divers. I'm pretty happy to just pick up the units over here. I do want one more Investigator. If we don't find it, it's not the end of the world. Okay, we have here. I don't think we really want to be going after this guy. So I think we're just going to be in Purify single combat here. Single combat does play well with a lot of these units we've already picked up. Grizzled Ranger loves it. Loyal Badger Bear is pretty good with it. He can typically find a 3/3 to take down. And then our Barrier unit plays pretty well with the single combat. Just some early game interaction. Not huge on Purify, but it's fine. I think these cards over here are a little bit too expensive. I would be okay with the Stalking Broodmother, but she's unnecessary. And we do see a lot of these decks that actually really want 4 Demacia, but I don't think this is it. I mean, if we have a deck that's going to want this, it's this one that has all of these scouts already in it. But I think we're pretty good on our expensive spell count. We have, how many do we have? 5 at this stage, and then 1 expensive spell maker. And so I think we can let this go. Does seem pretty powerful though. No, I'm just gonna take the single combat. Okay, well, we got to take this remembrance. We don't. It has to be a very bad card for us to skip on a remembrance. And the diver is, he's just a little below average in my books. He's not great, but he's serviceable. Okay. Oh man, I am excited for the Bannerman. I was curious if this guy was just going to make an appearance, and so having a 1-mana spell with Bannerman is completely fine. We'll get some usage out of this. Okay. Cool, so let's get rid of one of these cards we don't want. Those being either a Stony Suppressor or Mobilize. And let's see, I think we're good probably to just get rid of the Suppressor. It's just, it really blows my mind as to why this is in the Grand Moments card pool. Like, why does Lux want like a Stony Suppressor in your deck? Like, the only argument that I can kind of see is like, well, Detain costs 5 mana, and you want it to cost 6 for Lux, and this thing makes it cost 6. Like, she doesn't have like the same quantity of spells as like a Heimerdinger, and so you're intentionally inflating the cost of your spells to get more final sparks. Like, that's the only argument I see, but it seems fairly awkward. I'm pretty glad to get this unit out of here for a little bit more interaction. Yeah, cool. Like, I'm happy with how this came together. It's unfortunate for Quinn that we just be like, oh, we're pivoting into Lux, but the scouts are a key part of how this deck actually came together. So it's not all your fault, Quinn. You're going to be a valuable addition to this deck. Let's see how this goes. These early games do. Like, we don't have to like 100% rely on Lux, but she's how we're going to close out most of these games. And it's a little scary in these like round zeros when you only have 1 copy of your champion that you're really planning to build around. But it's at least not as bad like some of the build around champions like Vladimir, where you're really looking to stack like Crimsons and you get your big payoff with them. Like the Crimson archetype doesn't play that well if all of the cards don't come together. But, if your plan is to just play Remembrance, that's fine. I mean, we're still getting good value out of it. There we go. Leona Braum. Weird combo, but sure. So, alright, as we look at this, here's our Remembrance. We're right on board with this game plan. I'm going to go ahead and cycle out reinforcements. you know, we're never playing this early if our early game plan is to play Remembrance, and then we're fine to just hang on to Badger Bear. Tiana, you're not who we're looking for, but that's okay. Got a pretty good start here. Yeah, Brom. Man, what if we hit the loyal Greathorn with the Remembrance and then Grizzled Ranger, just get these gigantic scout attacks going? We can scout for Quinn still.
If they're out there,
you got it.
I'll spot them.
Have to take note of which of these units are actually elites when it comes to reinforcements. The Green Fang Warden is the big one that's an elite as far as this deck goes. Sure. Whoa, we hit 2? Oh man. Oh man. That is probably the best Call of the Wild 2020 right there. Hitting 2 cards with that.
In Avarosa's name.
This is what I talk about as far as these go. So, you know, he's got to do a whole lot of work if he wants to even answer this just 5/5 tough. And so we, you know, gave up the first 2 turns of the game to get here, but then it can immediately take over from this point forward. And we're fine to trade Grizzled Ranger into this thing. We're just going to try to keep his board as light as we can.
Winter take you. I suppose.
Figure this gets a trade onto the Sentry, but then he doesn't block the Badger Bear on the swing back.
Look out for Reavers. Alert the village.
Thinking about what to do with that troll chant. I mean, they could have troll chanted there. Feels like it would be horrible, but it's something you can do. Sure. Oh, cool. And we just draw Lux. I was like, the thing I was thinking about starting to talk about was like, at this point, I don't really want to be playing things like Succession or Reinforcements. Our board is already pretty good, and I want to just save these spells until we come across a Lux. But now that we've actually picked her up, you know, we can be a little bit more aggressive with these and dropping these. So yeah, I think as far as this goes, let's add Egghead. Right, we're not in like a real hurry to win this game. We're just going to be trying to grind down this guy's board. And then, so I want to bank this 3 spell mana. We're going to play Lux on our attack next turn. He should have a pretty tough time interacting with her Divine Shieldness. And then, gotta quit calling that. He should have a tough time interacting with her Barrier. Then why are you attacking? He like tapped out and came in with this weird attack. I don't understand.
Not the egg.
Okay. I'll take the bait for whatever you're trying to pull off here.
Save the homestead. The little ones.
No, I think this is fine. We don't need the barrier or the detain right away. I'm good to just go ahead and drop Lux, and then next turn we can play Reinforcements and just have all this goodness going on.
Daylight breaks on the battlefield.
Okay.
Bask in the light's radiance.
Illuminate the enemy.
So he'd either take it or put this thing in front of it. We don't get this Radiant strike into Lux too frequently. Ooh. Do we want to burn? I mean, he's got a Troll Chant, but I think we might as well make him go ahead and do it. And then next turn we'll have the mana to Investigator plus Detain Leona. Oh gosh. Oh gosh, friend. That is not a positive turn for you. Okay. This should be a pretty soul-crushing reinforcements. Okay, can't Poro snacks out of this, but we'll have to remember he has 2 Poro snacks for next turn. Shouldn't matter, we'll just make these units 4/4s and they just trade with our reinforced units. But this would be huge, just getting reinforcements in. We'll get a barrier or a final spark out of Lux, kill something, and then next turn be able to open attack and then play Tiana afterwards for the double attack. Should be closing this out pretty quick.
Pushing my limits.
I mean, he has an okay attack. He can hook Badger Bear and get in for 2. Like that. That doesn't sound super exciting. I'm gonna kill this one. I don't care if he hooks our Badger Bear, but if there's a way that we ever lose this game, it's because he's done something with like Fluffed of Tuft and given it elusive and just hits us for like 18 that we can't deal with. As far as these stupid units go, we can just block all of these, but if he has to like play an overwhelm on us, then we still want to be able to kill.
Right out.
This makes me feel a lot better about the Fluff to Tuft play when you're just going to murder all of his units. Yep. Way too full of a hand to be doing that. Surprised he didn't just like double Poro snack so I could block Badger Bear here and here. Okay, have to figure this one to be closing out real soon.
If I were your mother,
What a shame you aren't, Auntiana.
discipline or death.
Okay, doesn't matter, he's all tapped out. Boom. Boom. Alrighty, then we're just taking whatever the Lux pack
The
is.
superior tactic.
Hopefully it
is to
doesn't have
never give
reinforcements
up.
in it, because we're not really looking to play 100 of these, but yeah, it is what it is, if it's there. Oh, she's got a Remembrance. Is that our 3rd or our 4th one? 4th one? Cool. Along with a Mage Seeker, good stuff. Nothing we really want out of these other ones. Puts us in a pretty good spot to hit that that turn 3 Remembrance almost every game. One of you Reddit mathematicians can let us know how frequently that happens, but it's just such a powerful play to be doing. Oh, goodness. Got nap time. The BNDM. It's all about manner. This is going to be somebody that emotes us the whole game. Okay, I think we're good to get rid of Lux. She doesn't come down particularly early in any of these games, so not real upset to see her go. And here's the real value in Succession. Like, we've got this draw to where we're not going to be able to drop, a Remembrance. And so it is good to be able to just drop Succession on 2. But we've picked up Lux. I don't think this is ultra important. I guess the argument to doing this is we can Succession's Investigator and then Bannerman. But that seems kind of thin. I'm not real excited about taking that route. We got a 3-mana play here now. Or, I guess it's only 2. No, it's 3. So we're going to mobilize and get this Conservator down.
Take a look at this. Nothing escapes my notice.
Get in there. Get in there, son. Bringing all those damages.
Let me guide you.
Okay, I want to wait on him to attack. Oh, cool. Did not expect things to go that way. Alright, well we have the tools to start playing Sparks, and this kind of deck is going to have a lot of problems with Luxes, so just go ahead and get her down, and then we're good to like Concerted Strike Purify or Succession Concerted Strike. However this needs to go next turn, we're good to set it up. Assume he's probably going to open on us.
You leave me no choice. Live with
Whoa,
purpose.
why? Why would you do that? Okay, so this is going to be the most damage. Let's go ahead and just try to prevent that big chunk. Really surprised that this is coming in on Lux. This isn't even big enough to take down a Soraka. That's okay. We can deal with her in due time. Let's just prevent damage here. It seems like he might have some kind of trick. Like I don't know why he's hooking Lux with this thing. So I wanted to keep Purify in case he had some kind of trick show up.
Better, brighter than before.
Okay, I'm bamboozled.
They forced us to choose death or the blade.
If he has a trick, I'm pretty okay with it.
No more holding back.
A win streak!
The stars rejoice to see you, Soraka, and I them.
So how big do we want to be going here? I'm pretty intent on getting this Vanguard Bannerman down at some point. I would like to just spend 5 mana this turn and see what we can do from there. So I don't think we're actually attacking with anything. Let's just play the Investigator. We're going to play Bannerman and then pass.
Rude.
And we'll be, I think once we start to get wider than him, we'll be in a pretty good spot to just start trying to push through this stuff next turn.
Safeguard our citizens.
Invisible to the ignorant.
Not again.
I'll find that narwhal yet.
Okay, so I want to just go ahead and double up so that we aren't like losing out value on some of these plays. So this is kind of a shitty target for it, but let's at least go ahead and pop this off. Our risk of dying is pretty low here. Okay.
We will be free.
The Spark, here comes the Detain. So it's really tough for him to do anything like ultra powerful in this combat.
Stars fall.
We can just detain whatever he hooks Lux with if it's going to be the hunting fleet.
Take heart.
That was a choice. What else are you supposed to say about stuff like this? Oh, this thing got elusive because of the hunting fleet. Gotcha. I see what's happened here. Can't. Well, he could Bastion out of a Detain. So the worst case scenario, he has a Bastion for this hunting fleet. And then we still don't die, right? We would take 7, 10, 12, be at 4. I'm alright with that. And I don't quite feel like the Soraka matters. So let's try to take down this lounging lizard. We'll save these final sparks for the future.
A beacon through the dark!
Ow, bugger!
Close your eyes and the stars will fill you with their light.
So
But if my
we're
eyes
one
are
spell
closed,
away
won't
from.
I miss it?
See, there was his tricks. We don't waste our final sparks.
Flowers upon my blade.
Okay, cool. Now he's out of cards outside of Dust Petals. Are we ever going to get in one of these like scout attacks? I don't think so.
Magic corrupts Demacia from within.
Your Demacia's nothing like what I know.
Easy game.
The superior tactic is to never give up.
Never give up. That's the way we do. Rewards. I don't want my rewards. I want my trade picks. Cool. Let's see here. So, out of our options here, I'm never getting rid of Succession. It's just way too good. Both of these are fairly medium to bad in our deck. I don't really want to stack up on back-to-backs. So I think we're okay to hang out with the Diver. I mean, she's still a reasonable blocker. You can look at that previous game and see, you know, the interactions do come up to where we can get a touch of value out of an elusive. I think this Duelist for the Lancer is okay. Not happy with how much it's pushing our curve up, but it's at least a bit of interaction. It's real tough for us. Like, if we aren't playing these curve decks to where, you know, we're going like 1, 2, 3 and then playing Duelist on 4 on our 3-drop or something, it's pretty tough to get a lot of value out of these. So the Lancer is just much more straightforward and sort as this kind of like bad removal spell kind of play. Okay. Feeling pretty good. Pretty good stuff here. You got the Bannerman. I got all the benefits of drafting Garen without having to put one in your deck. Vanguard Bannerman. All right. Sick Danny over here. All right, I'm good with hanging on to the Succession. This Jinx Darius tends to be a fairly aggressive deck. Weird seeing multiple Darius here, but I want to be prepared with the Succession should we need to toss some units out here early. But I mean, as this stands, we can't just take a hit from this. We want to at least just bank up the mana out of a Blinding Assault. I think I like this. We can get hard punished if he has like a Blade's Edge, but there's not very many ways for this to go wrong for us.
For glory, you're mine. Remember me.
How does this look? We should probably just go ahead and drop Succession. We're just going to curve out with the 2 Grizzled Rangers back to back. I don't think we're going to be playing any reinforcements. These Grizzled Rangers should be huge against whatever this guy's doing. I want to go ahead and get this attack in. It's more valuable for us to take his Overwhelm unit off the board before it gets to attack. Oh, Intrigue. I think we still want the Ranger. It's a more challenging to just spike a what's it called? The Radiant Guardian is the one that we're trying to hit here.
Face me.
Yep, we're blocking the 5 either way. We're more likely to have a unit that can deal with this Overwhelm as time goes on. We have a Purify as well if something comes down to trying to take out this thing's Overwhelm. And single combat? Sure. Those 2 mana's looking pretty good here. He discards Jinx. Quite interesting.
I suppose.
Okay, I mean, these attacks are all pretty free. Okay, cool. I was looking to make one of these plays after combat anyways, because I don't want him to open on us next turn. I want it to be in this spot to where we could open with Remembrance, and try to get this big unit down to just virtual card advantage whatever he plays. And so I was intending on single combating after combat there anyways, and so it's pretty cool to see us get a whirling death out of the equation.
As Noxus wills.
All the values. Okay. I think we want to hit. I'm wanting to get these reinforcements down. So I'd prefer to just bank some spell mana. This only hits followers, so we can't be trying to silence Darius here.
I'm something of an aspiring trichologist.
Do we have to stop there? I think we should. We'll be at the 8 mana mark next turn anyways, and then I want to be able to... Well, we'll see. We'll be at 8, and we're wanting to bank 2, so we can play a 3. Yeah, so I don't want to continue on this board.
We march.
Oh, this will prevent the same amount of damage. A little bit better on the attack back. Okay, then we're just going to huge board this guy here. This reinforcements will cheapen up the Squire by 2, so we can Squire, and then reinforcements again next turn. Okay, I was like, oh fuck, that's an apprehend. But that's not what he played.
True strength.
It's still a little on the scary side if he has an apprehend. Yep. So we die to like a whirling death or a might.
Carve a path.
Oh, he's pausing. Fuck, we're gonna be dead, aren't we? Yep. Okay.
Strength above all.
Well, it kind of is what it is. Unfortunate. But I think I would have to go back and rewatch that, but I think we prevented every point of damage that we could. I think we took the least amount of damage on every single turn throughout the course of that game. So there's just not a lot we could do in that spot. So here, let's swap out this Mobilize. We don't want Mobilize anyways. Radiant is just extremely good at stalling out these games, so this should be a pretty decent pickup. We've got all just like the garbage out of our deck. We don't really want Purifies, but that's like the last card where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I don't really want this. This isn't doing what we really want this deck to be doing. Okay. Still confident in our abilities to push this to 7. It's not a sequence of cards that we were capable of interacting with, other than being like, well, here's some toughness. here's some health to throw in front of your stuff. Here we go. They found the perfect matchup for us. It feels like it's going to be another one of those where the game just explodes in the beginning and we have to start over again. Let's see. What you got for us here? Just trying to get us to draft dragons with this Fury note down here. Yes, well, Vladimir, sure. Yep. I was like, what a combo to be playing against. That's fairly historically bad pairing to be doing. But I mean, I know how you end up in that. It's where you take a Yasuo first and just have to take the Noxus champion second. So, like the way we tend to see that come about, you know, you can't. There's not enough in Targon. Like there's specifically Leona, and so if you're not drafting in Targon with Leona, then you just have to pair off with Noxus if you want to level up your Yasuo. So I get how you ended up there. It's just not an ideal combination to be stuck with. Okay, this has to probably be a fairly slow combination. I'm not entirely opposed of holding on to Lux against this Freylord number, but we probably ought to be a little bit safer and just go ahead and move on. Let's get rid of Badger Bear as well. I'm going to try and dig for a Remembrance, and we got 4 of them. It shouldn't be ultra hard to find these. No rush 15. everybody waiting. Well, I think I'm okay to just go ahead and try and deal with this. I'm gonna try to single combat it down. At worst, the single combat just trades for another spell. We don't have the Remembrance play, so I don't feel like there's a whole lot of reason to just bank here. Cool. The other thing I was gonna say, you know, she gets activated. She can just, of course, you know, she can just hang out for a bit and, you know, with 1 health and still get the value out of this detain and trade later. So it wouldn't have been a super huge deal. Had he had a way to get out of that.
Seek and silence.
Okay, he's taking all the damage here. All the ramp. Okay, we can go wider than ramp, I think. Like what tends to happen with these ramp decks is, that, you know, he's gonna let's see, have 6 mana, probably just play like, okay, Alpha Wild Claw. Fucking Broodmother. Did you have 7? Really? 2, 3, 4, 6, 7? Apparently you did.
Hey, kid. How's it hanging?
Okay.
Bertrand, I didn't expect you here.
He's getting his blocks ready. It's fine.
I suppose.
We miss out on our detain this way, but I'm okay with this. This is not a huge deal. I don't think we even want to go about it this way. I think I'm happy with this. I'm just actually I've talked a lot of trash on Silverwing Diver this run, but I think that's the way we want to go about this.
Calm mind and open heart greet the night.
Or do we want to just start pressuring his board? Maybe we should just stick to this kind of go wide strategy that we crafted. So let's get the Lancer down. We'll just try to hook kill this Broodmother, and then we'll have good attacks with everyone else.
Root them out.
You were misguided.
Yeah, there we go. Quad. We're getting there. We got more units than this guy. It's an elite. I think this was an elite at one point in time, the Silverwing Diver. I don't remember. Okay, now we have this mountain of mana. We can just start playing Remembrances and stuff every turn. Fortunately, can't detain this thing. I'm not upset about that. Too bad we don't have a bigger combat trick. This would be a big scout attack.
Tremble before the winter's claw.
Well, I guess we'll have to see if he's gonna follow up with another unit. Let's go ahead and get this dude out of here. Like this seems like kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't spot. Like if he wants to play like a Tarkaz or something here, then we're pretty free to just hook that and leave him in the same spot. Okay, well, let's accept these 2-for-1s. I'm still pretty content with just grinding this guy's board away. I want to protect our Badger Bear.
Shining softly.
And see, like, we're not like super excited to see this dude play an Aurelian Soul here, but it does give us a lot of paths to victory.
We speak with blades.
Gonna bring back 4-5. We're gonna lose 1 unit to make this cost 5. We should be able to add Grizzled Ranger. This is okay. Alright. This is danger. I was not expecting this dude to be able to go this wide.
Let them eat swords. Try me.
Alright, well, we hit all the scouts. I think I was planning on playing Green Fang Warden, but I think our scouts are good enough to ignore that kind of play now. It's going to get a good block on the Ranger.
Prove yourself.
Sure.
Nice to meet you. Ha!
Okay. I'm going to Radiant, I'm going to Silver Wing Diver, and then we'll still have the mana to Radiant Strike should that be a possibility here.
Put an end to magic.
Reconsider.
Bold, aren't you?
Nothing's tougher than a troll. They look angry. You got a problem? Nothing's tougher than a troll. They look angry.
Uh-oh. He doesn't have a trick, right? That's a non-decision if he doesn't have a trick.
History will judge you.
Return anew.
But good. I mean, we don't have lethal this turn, but the big things being he's at 2 against our 2 attack elusive. He doesn't have a combat trick, or he would have done something with Trundle there. And we're in a pretty good spot to close this out. It's pretty tough to try to attack and kill through a Radiant Guardian. Like, Trundle will kill Radiant here, but we're going to gain 4 in the process.
Come on.
And the elusive. Oh boy. Okay. We can still get wider than him, but this is certainly scary.
This is gonna be fun.
Reporting for duty.
Alright, so he's got to be able to answer 2 of our units. So he needs a Harsh Winds or 2 spells. Still feel pretty confident about him not having 2 of something, given that he couldn't deal with it the previous turn. What? Let's see. Okay, he's making blocks and stuff. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was a little bit more of a grind than I was hoping, but yeah, that's kind of the way you expect these ramp games to go, is they're just going tall, right? They're going to be playing one card per turn, and then we shouldn't have too much trouble going wider than that, but them getting like even his like Poro fly turns are a bit awkward for us to deal with. This is not a good Lux. Really want redoubled valor or back to back. What it is, we're taking 3. That game would have been a lot easier with a Lux. It just every remembrance coming with a gigantic removal spell. Kind of sucks. Play 3 and 4 remembrance with no removals attached to him. Okay. But yeah, that was one of my big complaints with Lux, when like it wasn't so bad with Call of the Mountain, since the addition of the monuments didn't really do anything, and there weren't a whole lot of appearance bonuses. But when or I guess I should say not with Monuments of Power, the expansion to Call of the Mountain, but the first Call of the Mountain set, when it was just like you're playing against invokes like 50, 60, 70% of the time, and like Lux just can't go toe-to-toe with that. It's just too much late game. She is looking pretty bad there until those appearance bonuses dropped away, and you only play against real like invoke decks or once or twice in a run. Okay. I think I want to keep the Grizzled. We're on the evens, and then we should be on this Remembrance plan here. I think Diana can, come out the gates, but just taking one attack on turn 2 is not the end of the world. Ooh, that has to be great for us.
Wax or wane, we do not fear change.
How scary is this if he actually decides to attack here? I don't think we ever block. Does he ever attack there without 2 Pale Cascades? I don't know about that. I'm skeptical of that concept. That's a pretty good answer to what we're putting on the table here. And he just takes it. Intrigue. You can't do big things with Redoubled Valor and Great Horn Companion. Making 10-10 scouts can close out a game pretty quickly. It's kind of scary to do against Diana decks, since they have access to hushes. But her aggression here, not too scary. It should be extremely tough for him to give her Challenger. He's not playing that many Nightfalls this turn. So let's just add to the board. I kind of want to get this guy going. I kind of want to get Bannerman going. But on the other side of the coin, I also kind of want to get reinforcements going next turn. I think we have to pivot. The Bannerman just doesn't give enough value when 2 of our units are going to die to the 2/1s anyways.
Nothing to worry about if you have nothing to hide.
We need to get ourselves in this mindset. Like we were kind of crushing this guy as far as combat goes, but we need to get into, even though his draw has been kind of slow, we need to accept that we are we're not the aggro here. He should have an extremely tough time outclassing both the, you know, just the raw stats that we can put down between, you know, getting 8 stats out of reinforcements, Bannerman just leveling up our whole team. Huh. Oh boy, let's. Do we just want to go big here? We pick up Lux. Man, I really just want to redoubled Valor our Greathorn companion. Fine, stupid game.
Mages are everywhere.
Oh, don't
We'll
you
just
worry
pass.
about me.
I mean, we can attack with Lux. Should be a safe attack, especially depending on how much mana he spends here. Like, they do have a lot of ways, like an Unspeakable Horror to pop her barrier or something, and she can take some damage. But I think in general, we should be safe to attack with her against Diana Shadow Isles. Whoa, Crumble. That's fucked up, dude. I guess at least it's good that he's only getting the 1-for-1 out of that, as opposed to smashing our Greathorn companion.
Root them out.
We shall not rest until all
Units.
betrayers pay.
Can't imagine he ever gets to attack here. Chronicler, sure. He might have to actively keep up to Tane mana, but as it stands, this is pretty reasonable. Pretty reasonable shot. Of just, well, we can't kill him next turn, but extremely powerful play we can pull off with Tiana. Go ahead and pull out the detain, so we have knowledge if we want to just like not attack here. And I don't want to run into these weird spots to where it's like, okay, she has 2 ticks on her, and then he has a what are they called, like the glimpse from beyond or something. Okay, let's wait a turn. We still have a lot of build-up going on here. There's no reason to just give him a flipped Callista. At least let him attack with it. Like, if she flips now, then kind of whatever. But if she flips with the additional unit attack, it's kind of a sticky situation. Come on, bud. You haven't been here all draft. Come on. Okay. He doesn't attack. I'm happy to go ahead and add this. We can just go ahead and add Bannerman.
No more lies.
So, I mean, what's he trying to pull off here? If he has, like, a Pale Cascade, he's going to win one of these combats. Not even, like, super worried about either. I'm not worried about either of these. Let's just take this.
Raise the banner! Lift our spirits!
What up? Here comes my open. No, not a whole lot to this here. And we have to assume that next turn we should be able to both Remembrance and Tiana. Okay, this is going after Neverglade Collector. This isn't going after Callista. Could not care less about this Callista flip anymore.
Time to get my hands dirty.
Hey, you got all the cards.
Moonlight guide me.
Okay. Damn. I was just worried about a Pale Cascade. This is fine. I think we're still in a pretty reasonable spot. Yeah, we'll get you those pets, bud. Oh, you're just dead, aren't you? just dead.
They must all pay the price.
Well, let's see. I guess there's a lot of action he can present here.
The moon is our queen, the night her kingdom.
Make sure we did these mathematics correctly. This is gonna leave us with nine mana afterwards.
Hold nothing back.
All right, get ready to block. Yeah, we're not going to lethal him here, but he should be losing a big chunk of these units.
Track them down.
For the fallen!
Meet destiny.
Another Pale Cascade? Wowies. Wowies.
Please, Raya.
Actual Callista Black Spear? Sure.
Death only makes us stronger.
I fail.
And a scrap shot. Cool. Always love a good removal spell. So, I mean, I have to imagine he's looking to play units here. Trying to think of what units can actually close this game out if we scrap shot a Neverglade Collector or if we scrap shot a Callista. The benefit of doing this now is being able to remove a Callista so she can't get that additional unit. But, you know, if we want to shoot the Neverglade Collector, we can wait until combat. But then, you know, this is going to pull out whatever. Just going to invoke again. Interesting that you chose to play the ephemeral copy. I think I'm going to go down the path of trying to kill this Neverglade Collector.
Injustice must
Okay, now that he's added this, we can shoot Callista.
Revolution is in the nature of moon and stars.
Can he ever kill us if we do this? How bad is this? Take 5. We're going to take 6 from this. Fall to 3. And he's tapped out. Well, we just have to do this anyways, right? We're just... Well, we can add Silverwing Diver, but I don't think that's good enough. But now the question comes, can we win this game next turn through this Neverglade Collector? Because that's where the problem lies here. Not sure if we can beat this. Take 5, fall to 3, guaranteed to take 1 from Priestess, fall to 2. Why would you... No, I guess it doesn't super matter, we're blocking, but... Okay.
We go.
Oh, he has to block. Let's at least not show it. But this is where we have to win the game. There's just no two ways around it.
We won't be silenced.
Oh man, are we gonna get popped by a unspeakable horror?
You won't stop us.
That's scary. That's a little scary.
We protect our own.
Yep, we can win the game. We can win the game this way. The game goes on, and we probably lose to Doom Beast this way. Okay. All right. Let's see what we can fade here. No unspeakable horrors, no doom beasts. We can beat Diana's. We can beat Callista's.
We shall not rest until all betrayers.
Okay. All right. Guess that's 4 more shots at a Doom Beast. Oh, we snapped that one off. Man. Yep. Okay.
It was only one battle.
Let's see. How can we improve? Kind of cool with getting rid of blinding assaults. It's not something we really need. We certainly don't want any more. That's probably our only choice. We don't want any more redoubled valors. We don't really want the one that we already have, and we only want one back to back. So I certainly don't want to pick up a third one. But I think the conservator is good here. We don't. The only way that like these blinding assaults are ever particularly good is if you have like a bunch of riposts. That's one of the ways that you can go about building Lux is trying to stack on prismatic barriers and riposts so that you can just kind of get your units into combat over and over again while building up final sparks. But that's not how our deck came together. So I think we're okay to pick up the Conservator here in place of the Blinding Assault. Right, a lot of back and forth this run. You gotta see if it's been a while since I've given you all a full value run, and so hopefully this isn't a full 13 and we just pick it up from here. But this deck feels a lot better than it's actually been delivering on. I typically look at this and be like, yeah, that's an easy 7. Here, I'm good to get rid of everything. We don't need to hang on to these 4s. We're looking for remembrances specifically, so we're good to just go ahead and ship all those duds. All right, let's roll the dice. That's the worst one. That's okay. She hasn't come down to save the day just yet, but that was one of the most delightful of plays, was to just smash off a turned on Radiant Guardian and close out games when there weren't as many ways to deal with these. These invokes do worry me. As I mentioned a couple games ago, the invoke decks do provide quite a bit of trouble to Leona, or not to Leona, to Lux. So this, I think we're good to Badger Bear, just plain on open attacking. We have options like, banking all the mana and playing a second Remembrance, but with this, well, we can just play a Remembrance next turn. Right? We'll be up to 5 mana at that point. I don't think we're in a spot where we need to hold these for Lux just yet. Let's fire off one more. And then we can start trying to pick up detains with our investigators. Sunburst something? That looked like a sunburst to me. Sure, same thing.
You will be scoured from this land! Believe or burn.
Back, heretic. Have faith.
Okay. Yeah, the big problem we run into against these decks is
Daylight star
most of their big units are
Will you comply?
Or are
spell
you
shielded, and so it becomes kind of tough to win these combats, or you get to spend 2 cards on their one. This, I don't think we need to single combat here. I think I would prefer to just bank up to trying to make a big back-to-back play this turn. Ooh, and here's Lux. It changes things. Okay, well, he already spent 1
Stay safe, my lady. Mages are everywhere.
obliterate.
Oh, don't you worry about me.
She should at least have a turn on this world.
Daylight warms the heart and lights the way.
And all of our attacks are good.
For justice and all things right.
Believe or burn.
You are beneath me. We have no quarrel.
Well, it's not ideal, but it's okay. This should at least stop him from gaining the health from this as well, which can be relevant. Striking the barrier just does 0 damage, so he doesn't gain anything.
Hope burns on. Today we turn the tide of war.
All right, Lux, it's your time to shine. Let's see what you can do here. Oh man, he must not have the removal if he's dropping this priestess on the. Oh, it goes down to 6. Okay, well. Trying to think if we have ways out of this, because I mean, technically, if he wants to try to sunburst our Lux, we can detain her and then, hopefully have one of these other units die eventually. But I think I'm okay with this. The Remembrance, we can final spark this thing. I think this is fine.
I've been hiding my light too long.
We can just try to save this detain for something bigger. I think this is fine. Like, it felt like this is gonna get obliterated or something. Yeah, like, we can't really count on this Lux staying on board after our opponent's played like his fourth Solari Priestess. Is that how many that's been? Yeah, 4. And so, I mean, these.
Punish sorcery.
Can rep the lethal here.
Nothing to worry about.
Put forth
If you have
15.
nothing to hide.
Which I think I'm pretty okay with, just going for it. It's tough for this combination to have cards that can answer
Seek
this.
and silence.
So, I mean, he can hush out of it, but that's about it. Okay, well, he can start shaping out of it as well. I think we're still in a pretty good spot. He shouldn't be able to play any cards this turn. It's going to fall to 4. Where it leaves us in a pretty good place to be able to just detain whatever he plays. Even if he plays like a
The dragon's rage.
like one
claws to
big
get
dude.
out.
If he plays the Scourge here, we can double detain the Scourge. go wide now.
What do you see, boy?
I wanted to get a unit on board to where we stay over 10 mana, was the idea behind playing this. It's kind of awkward for us if he just passes. And then we get stuck behind another star shaping, or if he buys an additional turn with like the gain 2 health draw a card thing, like all that's just so abysmally awful. So I wanted to get something on board that didn't involve just passing the turn.
End them.
Uh-oh, you coming in? Used Firebrand. Okay.
Dragon?
I worry about getting hushed, so I'm just going to take that. You know, the obvious thing is to put our barrier in front of this thing, but getting hushed is going to be terrible. I'd like to just run out Radiant, but we might need this lifesteal at some point in the future. So, gotten fully wide. Hopefully this is enough to just crash through and win.
We go.
Put an end to magic.
Let's try to take down his real unit. This is to protect our Badger Bear. Okay. A little closer. These Invoke decks are scary, man. This Lux just feels so much weaker when you're against these. It's like, oh, here's... Not only do we have way more value that you could ever, you know, try to overcome, but we get our own vengeances in Sunburst and the other thing, Obliterate. Alright, same deal. I'm kind of cool with this. The Silverwing Diver don't really want. The Conservators are fine units to just clog up the board, and we don't want back-to-backs or Stalking Broodmothers. So I feel like that's a pretty good trade. Okay. Did I just take away your all's value? I can't remember how frequently we lose games. But I keep promising you all a 13 game run, and it just doesn't. It doesn't always pan out that way. Let's see. I don't know if it shows up on Elo or Guardian just yet. Let's see. It's coming up. Oh man, I pulled it up. What? I don't know how that looks. That looks weird. Go on Expedition. Get it pulled up. Oh man, we gotta learn how to use a computer. We move it. There we go. See, doesn't look, that looks like out of order to some degree. But anywho, let's see. So against this Callista Elise deck, it's doubled up. Only has one Elise, but I still think we should probably keep some kind of early game interaction. So I'm gonna hold on to the Researcher, even though he can't block a Fearsome. If we don't pick up one of our 4 Remembrances fairly quickly, then we're gonna want to have something that we can at least throw down and interact just a little bit.
The more we learn, the less we fear.
Get him.
I'll follow where I can.
Aggro. Okay, we'll threaten. Probably just doesn't attack into our 3/3. We can just slow down the game here. Lux making the appearance. I do want to kind of like slowly bank up to this of this mana. Let's do this. Let's Ring Fang Warden. He's probably not real excited about blocking this with Callista. Let's see if we can't get some kind of something going here. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're gonna have to start playing defense real fast. I mean, this is at least a reasonable start for playing defense. Being able to add Bannerman next turn gives us a lot of good blockers. Gives us an additional unit that can block a Mist Wraith. Pretty okay with this, and he's gonna drop Wraith Caller next turn. The thing that worries me about this draw is he does have this Wraith Caller Callista combo, to where whenever he attacks with Callista, if one of these Wraith Caller falls, then she'll put in additional Wraith Callers, which put in additional Mist Wraiths. Bit of a pain in the butt to deal with. I think we can do it. We can just plan on not attacking on our next turn. Like we can add Lux, not attack, only kill 2 units maybe on this upcoming turn. Seems reasonable. Come on, dude. You didn't drop your phone in the toilet, did you? There he is. He's back. Oh, what he missed. Oh, buddy, that sucks.
Soldiers, to me!
And everything but Callista attack. So I'm good to at least come out here and block this one. It's going to die anyways. And if we're going to take that approach, he's going to have a dead Wraith Caller. How do we go? I think we're just going to have to accept that the Callista is going to get in a good attack. So if we're giving up, then let's just go ahead and let her flip.
Do not waver.
Investigating.
Still think like we'll get a good open with the Warden. I think there's just like a 0% chance he blocks with Callista. So we can try to push this through next turn. Get my nap in before the coconut's next turn. Let's go, buddy. This is one of like it reminds me of like a thing that would happen on Magic Online. Is people would just like dual queue, and it's like, yeah, you're getting chest clocked, and you know, your opponent can spend 10 minutes of their 30 minutes not doing anything, but it's always just horrifically boring to have to just sit there for 10 minutes while your opponent was trying to dual queue. And I mean, I guess question number 2 here is, do we ever just want to just come in? Oh, we can't detain Callista. We don't have the. We'd have to redouble Valor or something, and we'd be short on mana. So
Ready, boy?
Let's get this in. We assume he never blocks. How's this Callista? Go away. Go away. Final Feast, okay. Glad to see him Vile Feast before we just come out here and drop this Lux. It makes me feel a little safer about throwing her into combat.
Don't you worry about me.
He should have to have like too many cards for this to go wrong, right? Oh, is he just gonna? He's got a second Callista in hand, and he's gonna Vile Feast down our Lux. It's a bold move. Right, so he just like 100% has a second Callista in his hand. The rekindle, same thing.
Then found home.
We just have to deal with her for a turn. That's a kind of a scary turn because she's going to bring back a Wraith Caller. And then again, the thing we have to watch here is if we kill the Rekindler, then she'll start bringing back Rekindlers, which will bring back Callistos, which is also a pain in the butt to deal with.
There is work yet to do.
But we're not going to have answers to this right now. I want to hang on to our Investigator if we can. So we're looking to do this because this will answer 2 units. Can't take this full hit. Rather her.
I will hold the line.
Okay, well let's at least try to slow this down. Oh man, I forgot we got our spell already. We didn't need to keep this Investigator around. This is okay. Not the ideal way for that to go, but how much are we going to play next turn? If we accept that like we have to detain Callista next turn, that's going to be 5 of our mana. So that will leave us with 8 if we just bank. At which point we can still persuade her Quinn. Okay, I like it.
Nothing gets between me and my mark.
Sorrow without action is weakness.
Foul!
Yes, he has to just know we're coming in with. We planned on coming in with detain. I don't think we were going to. Let's try to go the persuader route first.
Stand in, you have no alibi. My call.
Okay. How many more Callistas is he going to drop on us? This is the worst unit that we're willing to block Mist Wraiths with. I want, if all goes as planned, I want to be able to get a back-to-back Quinn attack in next turn. We'll have to see. I'll have to see how the likelihood of that is.
Got you in my sights.
I think I only want to block a 2 just to protect ourselves from Vile Feast a little bit. Like, yeah, he did pick up a second Arachnoid Host that he can boost the Spider token with, but I'd at least like to keep her out of Unspeakable Horror / Vile Feast range for the moment. Oh, I got a fucking Black Spear. Vengeance, okay. Right, well, I mean, we've got a lot of the grind out of the way. As long as we can survive through this, I think we should be good. Vaults, huh? How willing are we to risk a Conservator with a Detain so that he only has the 1 unit and upgrades his Spiderling? And next turn we can try to... What's he getting out of this? Like, I guess the question starts to become is like, does he even have a 6-drop in his deck? Probably a pretty reasonable chance that he does.
Petricide protect me.
This feels fairly greedy, but so let's see how this plays out. I guess on the flip side, like, he's almost guaranteed to have a 2-drop in his deck, and it's probably a Mist Wraith. Okay, a Curse Keeper.
Oh, yes. She does our visitors.
Okay, it's had this Vile Feast all along.
Contain magic.
Justice will be served!
Alright, give us some good ones. Give us some good ones. This is fine. This is a very manageable vault.
Hold back the darkness!
We did 10? No, we'll be we're gonna gain 2. Be at 2. Alright, well, if there was ever a time to pop off a Ritual of Renewal, be a pretty reasonable one. Oh man, and he spikes a Callista? Sure. The only scary thing about this is his potential to hit Black Spears. But I think this is okay. We're going to back-to-back into this Radiant Guardian this turn. Right, so let's go ahead and Remembrance. He can't Doom Beast us out of this game. He doesn't have cards in his hand. All the Radiance all the time. That's quite the pickup, though, not gonna lie. NGL, that's some pretty good shit right there.
You will be struck from this land.
Not having to sacrifice Callista, picking up a 2-for-1. It's not bad stuff, said anyone. Especially since we'll probably lose our Radiant in this combat to a Mist Wraith. There he goes. So we're just gonna have to detain this thing, right? That's not ideal. I want this Radiant for a combat next turn. No, this is probably fine. We can let this happen. We'll go up to 6, so it's a pretty safe health total. We can detain Callista here. I don't think they're like the 5 drops I was kind of thinking of were like if he has like the Noxus 6/5 or something, but he hasn't played like any Noxus cards this game, so it felt like there's a reasonable chance that he just like didn't have a card he could play here, which no surprise he does.
I will
No
end
surprise.
this here.
Okay, well let's see if his 1 card gets him out of this. Nope. Okay.
Lady Elise, where are you?
See, and this is what I think should be like the issue with Vaults of Helia, is he has to be like killing off his big unit and not getting anything, right? Oh, does it not kill if you don't have a card you can get? Round start. Oh, I didn't know it actually functioned like that. I thought it just killed your best unit. Would have been cool if somebody told me that years ago. Would have been a useful little nugget of knowledge to know that this just doesn't abyss your best unit every turn.
Strike for justice!
This doesn't feel like a very spectacular back-to-back, but I just want to get the stats here. He's certainly blocking everything.
You have to get me out of here.
as he should. I just want to level up the health. Like, I don't feel like we need to be searching out a scenario where we're trying to punch through damage with this back-to-back. I think our units are good enough, our cards are good enough. I just want to get the plus health out of playing this. Elise makes an appearance.
Come closer. I don't bite.
Here's our game winner.
A crown guard never falters.
That's aggressive, friend. You're about to get scout attacked with this giant-ass dragon. Okay, okay. A little closer than I wanted again, but win's a win. That is the wrong attitude, by the way. do not pursue that win's a win attitude. So, okay. With these, I don't want Blinding Assaults. We've decided this is not a card we want in our deck. We're fine to get rid of it. I want to hang on to our Radiant. This just kind of fits in the curve so well. It's it's really easy for us to find these turns to where we save up one spell mana and we're able to get a big value out of one of our few scouts or something. That's fine. And we already have 3 conservators. Purify for the Lancer. In general, I feel like this is an upgrade. Like, if we're talking objectively, the Swiftling Lancer is better than Purify. But we already have 2 Swiftling Lancers, and I don't want any more. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip over these, keep the bit of utility we get out of Purify. Okie. And push ourselves in this final battle. This game's been close. I mean, I still think Lux is a tier 1 champion. It's just, I think we cut a slightly bad run of it this go. We could never play poorly. We've been over this before. Always play perfect. If you think it's something I did's a mistake, you're just wrong. And so it's clearly the quality of the of the Lux cards that would be the issue here. This one, don't expect a lot of aggression out of this Trundle Callista, especially if Trundle is the main champion. But I want to keep a way to drop a card if we A, didn't hit Remembrance, and B, if he was trying to throw out some kind of aggro draw. Like if he goes like Hapless Aristocrat, Mist Wraith, and then on his turn 3 plays a Mist Wraith, then maybe we need to drop a Succession on turn 2, even if that is to just shut down his turn 2 Mist Wraith. I mean, it's fine. There's a lot of options there. Maybe the Professor of Pandemonium won't vengeance our units when we try to redoubled Valor to make cool plays. It's not cool when people mess up our ability to make cool plays. Uh-oh, he's good. He toileted. We had a toilet emote. So when they take forever, we can query as to whether or not their phone is underwater. I love it. I was thinking the other day, because I do just sit around and incessantly bitch about when people start roping. Is just if we could just have Nosdormu mode, or whatever the dragon was called in Hearthstone that gave you 15 seconds a turn, or the anti-rope legendary. Just throw him out here. I'd love to play Nosdormu mode the whole time. I'd be cranking these videos out in 30 minutes for y'all. You get 2 or 3 times the content. That's alright. We're playing against the Professor. He does a lot of thinking, a lot of knowledge-based assessment here. Oh man, it's not even our turn. Yeah. We can't just play cards.
Where are you?
Okay. Let's see where this gets us. This is this kind of spot where I'm talking about, I really like the to have Radiant Strikes, because like what are we going to start doing here? Like next turn we would ideally play, you know, Green Fang Warden, and then have 1 mana, and then the turn after that, you know, maybe we want to play a Conservator and another card, or you know, Conservator Succession, and then still have 1 mana for Radiant. Interesting. You're really looking for, well, there's no way he's going to make like ever make a 2 mana play, but it seems strange. There's some aggression. This is the kind of guy we're talking about when we want these Radiants blast in through combat next turn.
We protect these woods as they
See,
protect
it's pretty
us.
tough for him to play a unit that interacts favorably with the companion,
See the Demacian border
so
from here?
I'm good to go ahead and get our other scout in here. Yeah, this is fine. I think we're to the spot we're gonna want to start like conserving these spells to a degree since we drew our Lux. They can Vengeance her away, but it should be fairly tough for him to interact with her favorably. This is fine. Can't add to the board. Like much like all of these previous games, we you know, don't have a whole lot of trouble going wide, and so if we're against these ramp decks that are going tall, like his play, you know, he probably wanted to add Trundle, but he can't add Trundle here because he can't block our big unit. But that's what I kind of expect from these upcoming turns, is like, here's a Trundle, and then you know, 2 turns from that, it's like, here's an Alpha Wildclaw or a Augur of Trolls, whatever he's called. They typically want to just be spending all of their mana every turn, right? Because that's how you're getting your advantage out of this. Faces of the Old One doesn't do anything on the 10th turn of the game, so you have to get your advantage out of these cards early. Well, I guess we can play 1 spell. I would prefer to go ahead and just contest this Callista. This is what we need. I need shit to click on down here. I don't know how hard it is to follow the mouse cursor. Like, I've considered putting like the little circle thing around it and such. I don't know if that's just annoying or not, but need some of these sweet things to click on. Again, I don't think he ever blocks here. If he does, kudos to him. But I think this is a safe attack 95% of the time. Just to chunk this damage in. We can follow up with Lux. Hey. Oh goodness! Oh, it goes for it. I mean, we do have the back-to-back. Fine. Fine. You got us. It seems kind of spewy for back-to-back when we're so close to leveling up this Lux, and our unit was kind of done there. So. Maybe he's just given up on this Callista being anything more than a blocker and has no plans for her to ever flip. Which is reasonable.
Coming through.
The sun is shining. We should too.
There's our Radiant. I would have loved to have spent the Radiant on this Callista. Can't do it all the time. Oh my goodness.
Can't handle a little cold. It's
Sure.
good to be the
We can
king.
protect. We do have the Detain plus Radiant Strike to try to shut all of this down.
This place reeks of foul magic.
Rude?
Damn right, that was rude. So yeah, I mean, it seems pretty decent. We're spiking this Trundle 100% of the time, and we should get a final spark this turn. It's kind of priced into trying to hook our Lux.
Gonna be fun.
How does this ever go wrong? I don't like what I see here. What he's doing now. So I think we just have to eat this, right? If he's going to like kill one of our units mid-combat, we need this to. Well, yeah, that spell won't count if he. Okay, so let's just go for the detain. Seems like he's gonna like grasp of the undying our unit or something, but I feel like he would have probably been a little bit more aggressive if that was his game plan. Like, why wouldn't? I'm real surprised. It's like why he wouldn't just hook our Lux. Okay. See what he does. I'm a little suspect about what's going on here. Tusk Raider. Okay.
Better, brighter than before.
Okay, well, we can deal with him. He's not scary like a lot of the units. Like he doesn't have overwhelm or anything. Just a big old dude. Now my new question for this board is: do we want to like redoubled valor or Lux? No, I don't think we do. I guess the perk to redoubled valoring Lux is we can try to go ahead and take down his pillar, and then bank 2. Okay, I'm convinced. I mean, if he. It's just so weird that he made like no attempt to interact with Lux last turn. So he doesn't have like a Battle Fury. He doesn't have any of the big combat tricks, or he would have just brought her down. And I don't think he has a Vengeance, or he would have done something similar. Right? He probably wouldn't have let us detain his Trundle if he had a Vengeance. So I think I'm okay with the big girl plan here. Make him put in some work if he wants to try to take this Lux down. At least, you know, if this goes successfully, this vulnerable should drop. This is for a Nightfall, right? It's like what the what?
Illuminate the enemy.
Okay. Been illuminated. Back up to 2. We'll have 11 next turn, or 10. I think I want to go ahead and play a Conservator. These Conservators are fantastic against the just giant unit no overwhelm board. Would like to pick us up some expensive spells here. It's not horrible having expensive spells. Goodness. Yeah, it is moderately scary. I mean, hitting an Eclipse Dragon and typically just pick up 2 humongous cards. What do we think about just playing Tiana? We can't do that, I don't think.
It is time.
What if we do? Because this Lux attack, probably safe. She's gonna get some work in here. I think I like it.
We are crown guards.
Someday you'll understand my path.
Time to get my hands dirty.
Let's brighten up their day.
Let's do some mathematics on that one. That doesn't kill our Lux. It gets her pretty close to death, but not the whole way. I didn't think we messed that up.
I will find you.
Okay, she's probably relatively safe. I mean, we got a back-to-back, right? And a barrier. Okay.
For the fallen!
Track them down.
Taste my skill!
Probably a little greedy to give him his Trundle back right away, but otherwise I'm okay with jamming our units in here.
No further.
We don't have any. Make sure we aren't sparked up yet. We can get our spark this way. We can bury your Lux.
I won't stand by.
So it'll be 3 cheaper for the next one. There's a chance she dies here, but I'm not upset if that's what happens. I think this leaves us in a pretty reasonable spot. He's already spent like 2 unspeakable horrors, so it's kind of tough for him to have some of these cards, right? He's played 1. Might have been the guy in the previous round that played like 100 unspeakable horrors, but no, I think I'm okay with this. Not like we have spells anyways to be spending on this Lux. Okay.
Lights out.
So yeah, I mean, it's kind of sucked that he has 6 cards in hand, but I mean, again, if he's just in the spot to where he can only add 1 big card, probably can't add a unit this turn. We're just going to lose our spark, which is okay. We spark our own units? No. Can't just spark face. Oh, that's a huge motherfucker. Oh, I forgot he's Tusk Raidered. We just go face. We go face with this one. All right, I'm just gonna pass. Keep him from playing a 1-drop. I don't think we have a way out of this one. I think don't think we're gonna be able to win this.
King of Trolls coming through.
It doesn't change anything.
Break them!
One smack'll do.
One smack'll do.
Search them.
Okay, I'm willing to risk it. If he has a trick, he has a trick. We can't stop a Fury of the North anyways, so there's no reason to put a 3 in front of him. We might as well just take our last gasp here as far as drawing spells goes. And here I want the Radiant, and then I want the Quinn.
For the fallen.
This will be the biggest attacks that we can get in. I guess technically we could have played Grizzled Ranger Quinn and then followed up with Radiant next turn, but
Let fury spill from the sky!
yep, this is just going to be an open.
Nothing gets between me and my mark.
Because we're just short, right? We can hook 1, he blocks our 2 bigs, and then we're only going to be able to deal 9. We need that back-to-back we threw away. Okay, we'll give up on this one. Good game, friend. It's a little too much.
Defeated, not broken.
But yeah, I still feel good about throwing out that Lux. We just didn't have anything that we could do with her. Okay, and with these, don't want redoubled valor. don't want the Ranger, and we don't want back-to-backs. This is all a pretty easy set of skips. We only want one of these. I want to keep our Conservators in place of Rangers, and then don't want the Redoubled Valor we already have. Okay. We're back. Nice little break. Rest up our final spark fingers and get this shit ready to go. Gotta check that change in hoodie, see if see if anybody notices. Oh shit. Alright, come on, let's find a game. We're not even close to the final battle yet. You gotta get 2 more wins. I guess 1 more win. This is the ticket to the big show right here. I play against Invokes again. Oh god, it broke. You gotta say something about a small indie company. Get this shit fixed. Okay, there we go. I think it's fixed. Seems like it's doing stuff. There we go. Alright. The old Tesla 420. Centerellian Soul, sure. Alright, we got like this piece of the puzzle. I think we can go ahead and get rid of Lux as well. I assume the Elise Centerellian Soul deck's probably going to be pretty slow. We should have a chance to just draw her, and we should look for some other early game things to do. I'm trying to think if there's ever a world where like we don't want to play Remembrance on 3, and we want to kind of build up to a Reinforcements on 5, right? Because this Green Fang Warden is a scout. Ooh, I like this. Or I guess on the flip side is like we could do it on 6, which would be our next attack after this upcoming turn. And I think I like that just a little bit more. So let's go ahead and drop this Remembrance. If he doesn't do anything, you have to imagine he's going to do something, but if he doesn't do anything like he's been kind of representing here and we spike a scout unit or something, that could be a pretty big hit.
Through trial.
Awkward. We've hit a lot of these unbuffed Radiant Guardians today. Or recently, I guess I should say. Okay, here's what I think I'm cool with. I want to go ahead and just get in with this. I don't think he has big plans for the Scales of the Dragon if he's just gonna skip on Dragon's Protection. And I think we're just good to fully bank here. Then on our 5, I'm looking to play the Lancer, and then on our 6, I'm looking to play Reinforcements. We'll see if this all comes together as intended. I might need to just go ahead and plan on detaining Lee Sin, which probably a little bit safer.
You have nothing to hide.
His Sonic Wave does not look nearly as good now. And I'm going to just go ahead and detain this regardless of what he does. I would, like it if he went out of his way to play some spells here, but I think we just want to go ahead and take care of this before he gets the opportunity to play either Deny or play Targon Spell Shield, whatever that card, Bastion. Can't actually activate our Lux next turn, which is slightly awkward. But I think we're good to just go ahead and play her.
Mages are everywhere.
Oh, don't you worry about me.
Seek
And let's just keep Protect mode on our Radiant Guardian. It's too easy for him to have a Twin Disciplines here. We trade Twin Disciplines for the Investigator after we've already gathered the Detain, then sure, don't really care. But Can't be giving him this Lee Sin back. There was the Bastion. Okay. So good. That was a that was a wonderful detain that we snapped off when he only had 3 mana. Very happy how that panned out for us. So I mean, we're getting to the point. I'd like to just get some like stats on board. Maybe we just play both of our scouts this turn, and then we can look to reinforcements next turn. It's slightly awkward in that you know, we have our Lux with 2 spells. I think this will be okay. Like we just have a monster board advantage over this guy. Ooh, we didn't have a deny. That's extremely good. Now we can just throw shit at him. Solari Priestess is not what you're trying to do on this board.
Sunlight guide you, my brethren.
We go.
Always remember, this guy's a scout. Or an elite. He's clearly a scout. An elite is the ability that matters for what we're trying to pull off here. Okay. Sure. Don't care. If we can get him to just spend a whole bunch of spells before he's able to put Lee Sin back down, then that's just a humongous win for us.
Dog. Beamer.
Root them out. Believe or burn.
Okay.
Take my
What I think has happened is he's gotten in this spot. We talked about this quite a bit playing against these ramp decks, to where they're getting like just a spot where they just play like 1 unit a turn. Like they can play like an Alpha Wildclaw, then they can play an Usgar, and we can just completely go wider than what they're doing. Here we go. We have to back here. Let's just pass. He's gonna try to Lee Sin hook our Radiant Guardian, and we're just gonna have to back through this. That was his last Lee Sin as well. That was a Lee Sin Sonic Wave.
I will not.
So there's a chance our Radiant falls, but it's no real reason to just let it go. Can't Radiant Strike, or can't Concerted Strike down this Lee Sin. Let's boost our Vanguard to get the plus health. Beautiful. Okay, here I'm gonna bank. We don't have any scouts. I want to get this Lux going. We can't do a whole lot here. I mean, we can Lux and then Remembrance. Okay.
The dragon
so we at least have a final spark next turn.
The dragon spirit awakens.
Yeah, you could have dragon kicked.
Stay safe, milady. Mages are everywhere.
Oh, don't you worry about me.
Not doing anything. Is he gonna play the singular will on us? That would be brutal.
Better.
Brutal.
Than before.
Okay.
Put an end to magic.
For the fallen.
Into battle with hearts aglow.
It's probably safe to attack with Radiant, but I think this is like the only way we ever lose is if this Radiant falls in a spot like this. He's not playing anything. What's he supposed to do? Play like a Concussive Palm and then play a like health barrier thing?
Their heartbeats quicken.
Looks like a health barrier is coming down on Lee Sin. Or lifesteal barrier, whatever we want to call that.
I will not hold back.
Then he still needs something else, right? Concussive Palm.
I'll see this through.
All the spells. Okay.
A beacon through the dark.
It's strange that he played the what's it called? The second or the Pale Cascade onto Lee Sin when he didn't need to.
My lands need me.
Makes sense.
I will not hold back. Center your spirit.
So we can't actually kill him here, so he's gonna get his Lee back. It's gonna have to be okay.
Master yourself. Master your enemy.
This doesn't feel like a very good place to be attacking. So let's just add to the board. This is tough. We could try to kill this Lee Sin, or at least put damages on it, which I think I do like, because then we can just Remembrance after the fact. If we can get him to burn a bunch of combat tricks here, that's pretty positive for us. I'd like to just get one of these Lee Sins off the board, and we could try to make some kind of like open attack into Tiana play next turn.
Dragon.
Oh, cool! We just got him. Okay. Sure.
I'll see this through.
So weird, he's playing all these spells right now. Okay, so let's just go ahead. The thing I'm looking to do here is we're going to attack with everything, just get some kind of chunk damage in, and then planning on hitting with Tiana. We're going to Remembrance into Tiana. We didn't hit another spell like a Radiant Strike, so we're just going to have to soak all this mana into our Lux.
You must learn to fight. We are crown guards.
Someday you'll
We are Crown Guards. Let's see if that's enough. Sure.
I will not hold back.
Let's go ahead and try to Final Spark the unit so that it can't block. He has a trick, it's okay. Gotta get him ground out of spells here.
These are foul magics.
I'd say we're in probably the exact same spot as the last round. I don't think we can ever win the game here. So we'll rep lethal. I think he's probably just gonna barrier lifesteal again. Yep. Yep.
Conflict is all in the mind.
So I'm not quite willing to start throwing Lux in here if he's in some kind of spot to where like he can barrier lifesteal, block something, and concussive palm another thing, and then just take our Lux down. It's just we have all the time in the world here as long as he doesn't hit the overwhelmed Targon card.
Prepare yourself.
Garen.
Which he did not appear to do.
Nothing gets between me and my mark.
Okay, we could have gone for the style of play a long time ago, but at least try to hook this Lee Sin somewhere down on the right. Well, that doesn't apply anymore once he's dropped his Aurelion Soul. But
the heavens diminish without my attention.
Alright, well this is the turn where we're just going to have to go for it, I think.
Now they'll pay attention.
Seek and silence.
Let's brighten up their day.
Let's put the 10 damage way down on this end.
I will not hold back.
He's blocking way down here. That always feels ultimately scary. We do these little to big attacks so that he has to try to put this Lee Sin against the smallest units if he wants to barrier lifesteal. Because right, if he wants to make a barrier lifesteal play, then he should be having to block our Investigator, and that's protecting our bigger units down here. But appears as though we finally punched through. Okay, perfect. Good game, friend.
Conflict is all in the mind.
Okay, so I guess we did make it to that final battle.
The superior tactic is to never give up.
Okay, let's see what we get here. Could pick up our 5th Remembrance. It's kind of tempting, but I don't think we're going to go that route. If we had more Mage Seekers, like if we have the 1 Persuader and then like 2 or 3 of the Investigators, like if we had like 6 or 7 Mage Seekers, then sure, I'd be okay to go up to that many Remembrances, but as it stands, I'm happy with 4. We never want Remembrance, or never want Mobilize, and we have 1 Radiant Guardian, which is enough here. So let's hang on to everything here. Okay, I don't want to make any of these either. Just our key payoff unit outside of Lux. We don't really need riposts in this deck. We don't have enough challengers, and then Purify is a reasonable bit of interaction, also a spell. And I didn't realize we had 10 6-drops in our deck, but 4 of those are Remembrance, and so that's not quite different. Okay, let's hang on to all these as well. Just, again, don't want more Remembrance. I want to hang on to Tiana. She's just so much raw power. And then we have 1 Swiftling Lancer already. We like these early game combat tricks. Okay, could pick up a Cythria. I just don't think she's like ultra important in this deck. We've been able to get like wide enough and then not have issues winning, I guess. Or reinforcements. That'd be cool with just like 1 reinforcements though. Reinforcements does work well with Cythria. That's what we're making a trade here. So interesting. I think this is fairly close. I think I just want to hang on to the expensive spell here. We already have this kind of effect in Tiana, and then this tends to be, our curve is high, but that doesn't play out exactly the same when the big parts of your curve are spells. Since we can play those off of 3 spell mana. Like we can play Remembrance on turn 3, Reinforcements on turn 5, whereas, we can never play Tiana until turn 8. And Cythria plays that same thing to where, yes, our curve is kind of wonky here, but you certainly can't play her till the late game. So I think I'm good to hang on to our 2 Reinforcements. Skip over this one. Alright. Your 1 shot at the final battle. Let's see how it goes. Vladimir Asol. I don't know how scary that is. Like, I always just assume Vladimir's the worst, and so seeing him in the final battle frightens me just a little bit. And here, I am going to plan on doing this line where we play Remembrance on 3, Grizzled Ranger on 4. I think that should pan out pretty reasonably. He shouldn't be aggressive enough for us to not want to make a Remembrance play. He's just here comes the Legion Rearguard into some random 2-drop turn. Man, I miss Legion Rearguard. That are not familiar with the old free-to-play body of work. Crimson Aristocrat, interesting. He was one of our favorite units until they just completely gutted it and removed its second point of health. Okay, let's see if we hit something better than Radiant Guardian this game. Cool. One of the better hits in this spot.
Bask in her radiant blessing.
It's weird seeing all these Vladimirs in what clearly appears to be an Invoke deck.
My paint!
Yep.
It was my heart that led me here.
So what can we get away with here? I want to add Grizzled Ranger, but it's awkward attacking into this 4 health unit because we have this curve where we could Grizzled Ranger attack and then play an upgraded Radiant, but that doesn't look like it's really in the cards anymore. So if we want to skip that line, what do we move on to after that? Because banking 3 spell mana is kind of a real thing when we have this Lux upcoming. Let's do this. Let's add Persuader. We'll bank 2. I'm planning on leading with Green Fang Warden next turn. And seeing how that goes. So he can still somewhat profitably attack into this stuff. Oh, even better. Like how this looks. I mean, if his big play for the turn is to play an Obliterate, then that looks pretty good for us. Looks like his play for the turn is a Transfusion. I think we're okay with that. If we get 2 hooks in on these units, he transfuses one of these, and then trades Transfusion for Vanguard Cavalry. Or we could just not attack with Vanguard Cavalry, and then make him spend a Transfusion on one of these. How much do we care? Like at the end of the day, if our board is our 2 challengers against his Vladimir, I think that's a big win for us. And so let's go ahead and let that happen.
This one's mine. Such a pretty thing.
Let's see it here. The incoming Transfusion. Yep.
Strength through suffering.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this has panned out. This Vladimir is pretty far away from flipping, so he's going to be stuck at low health for a long time. I can't imagine this deck ever flips a Vladimir, but it does seem pretty well centered on just being an Invoke deck.
Daylight star will rule the skies.
Okay, so how do we want to push forward? I mean, we should be able to pretty safely redoubled Valor next turn. If we're going to do that, that would put us at the 7 mana mark. Yeah, this seems fine.
Let the light guide you.
Come, Lux. Don't hold back.
See if he's got one of those 1 mana pings. Nope. Cool.
I've been hiding my light too long.
Okay. We have to assume he doesn't have an Obliterate at this point. This all seems pretty reasonable to me. We gotta win fast. He's gonna start dropping just big turds on us. But he's pretty reasonable up to this point. He can't protect his Vladimir with any of his spells. Transfusion won't do it. 2 health shield won't do it. Everything is free to attack here. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and put you in. Put you in.
Into battle with hearts aglow.
you.
Okay, and then I don't think we need to add any of these units in. I'd rather just bank the spell mana here. Yep.
Yeah, I'm up.
So let's get
Confine and
these
contain.
guys down. We arguably could have played a Radiant, but
Recite
I
protect
think it's
me.
okay for her to hold up until a few turns from now. And then I'm just planning on playing both Green Fang Wardens. I may change my tune on this if it comes to playing a good Mage Seeker Investigator. It doesn't look like it matters here.
Hey, kid. How's it hanging?
Bertrand, I didn't expect you here.
Was that a glimmer of starlight I saw?
He smells something.
You were misguided.
And like, how much do we care about this stuff? I think like we're probably gonna have a lot of trouble getting a better concerted strike. Let's go ahead and take this thing down. Strike you. And sure. This just feels like another one of these go wide spots to where, you know, he's going to play like an Aurelian Soul, or he's going to play some... Why didn't we kill this? Oh, well, oh no. Oh man, I forgot he had abilities. Shit. That was a waste. That was a waste. Oh man, that was supremely bad. I just assumed that we were going to kill this thing. I forgot that he has this can't punch me ability.
Search then.
Damn.
Will you comply, or are you complicit?
Right, well, he has to have some kind of big boy here. There's no two ways around it.
Clad in shining sunlight.
Oh, sure. Well, I don't plan on interacting whatever huge unit you're about to play right now, so I think this is okay to just play stuff. Comment, sure.
I found my family, my bloodkin.
Okay, so it's like to a degree I would like to hang on to some of these spells, but I don't think we're able to at this spot. I feel like we just need to open. Hopefully just get a very good back-to-back.
Time to get my hands dirty.
Right, we just can't have him play like a gigantic spell shield here. It's just abysmally bad for us.
Stop them!
War Mason, reporting for duty.
Just gonna play all those Vladimir cards now.
The few for the many.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. I'd really like to find a Lux. Hey, speak of the devil. Captain Farron, oh boy. Okay. Well, we at least have an answer to him, the unit himself. We ever get a Purify out of this? I don't think so.
Halt!
What brings you
Probably
here?
have to block. Man, this is awkward. There's no fast spells that he can get out of this with. Well, he can Bastion. If he has a Bastion, then we lose. But I think this is okay.
Trespassers!
That's a big pickup. So, we just have to bank mana here if we want to get a final spark. So this is fine, we'll just pass. Oh boy. Okay.
They think themselves cultured.
Alrighty, let's see how this proceeds. We just have to get wider than Aurelian Soul now.
Stare.
The sun is shining. We should too.
How horrible is that? Oh man, like Supernova's real bad. But I mean, he only picked up like 3 or 4 cards here. There's a lot of bad hits for him. Okay. That makes me feel at least a little bit safer.
Now they see who I truly am.
Get the good ones, come on. Yep. Nice hit. I think we're too far behind now. I don't know how we can catch this one back up without our Lux.
Return anew.
But I mean, this is what happens against these Invoke decks. This is, as we've kind of like parroted on throughout the run, why it was so abysmal playing Lux right at the beginning of Call of the Mountain. Just not a whole lot you can do about this stuff. I think this game has just gone way too far for us to ever be able to beat a Invoke deck.
Good dog.
No giving up. Let's see what we can do here. We got blockers for Aurelian Soul. He's not getting his Captain Farron back. Maybe we can get wide enough to take this one down.
To the stars.
Can't just eat this hit though. He's got all these decimates in his hand. Oh boy. Okay. What more can you say about these things than oh boy? Sure. But yeah, that's kind of the problem with Lux these days, is she just can't go toe to toe with Invoke. It's just way too much stuff to try to stall out.
My, how they stare.
Okay, well, we'll call it here. We can't beat a Decimate. Alrighty, good game, friend. So yeah, it's a touch unfortunate. I guess it is kind of, it is what it is. It's just the way that this used to just kind of completely be, where'd my thing go? Like a top notch tier 1 deck. It was arguably one of the best decks in the game with this Lux, all through core set and then all through the Rising Tides. But now with Call of the Mountain and all of the Invokes, it's just brought so many problems, right? There used to be kind of like 2 ways that we could build Lux. We would do it either like this, where we're really focusing on Remembrance, but to in large part a units as spells deck. And then the other way you could kind of go about it was with barriers and riposts, and you would just try to basically have your Lux not die. You would just be playing spells over and over every turn, and you would eventually just grind your opponent's board out with Final Sparks. If they're trying to get into combat and play removal spells or whatever into Lux, and you just Prismatic Barrier everything, then this was just like kind of the ultimate late game plan. Excuse me. Except for perhaps a Heimerdinger. And so all through the Rising Tides, this was good. And then the Invoke cards came out, and this just came much worse. But it's not like 100% a function of Invoke. The new set added Obliterate from an Invoke, Supernova from an Invoke, and then added Crumble, added Sunk Below. But, as you could see in that last game, we got Lux on board, we got a Final Spark, she got Supernovaed. We got Lux on board, we got a Final Spark, she got Obliterated. And there's just, a function of what the cards are these days. And then, on the kind of the flip side of that coin, if our our plan is to like, well, we can still kind of deal with their big units. We still have this kind of reasonable control decky thing. We can get 3 and 4 detains in a game depending on the number of Mage Seekers we find. Against the Invoke decks, they eventually just start dropping spell shielded units. And at that stage, it's like, well, what are we supposed to do against an Aurelian Soul? We have to like Purify plus Detain, or we have to Final Spark Detain. Like, it's just, it takes a gigantic amount of work to actually deal with a spell shielded unit, and it's just tough for this deck to do. And so this is just an extremely powerful deck still. It's just you're going to run into issues playing against invokes. And like I said before, the numbers have kind of changed. You used to, right when Call of the Mountain came out, and then to a lesser degree when Monuments of Power came out, and those bonuses show up to make like the Aurelian Souls more prevalent. That's really tough for Lux to deal with, but nowadays you don't run into invokes quite as many times. Like this was a real like low roll run as far as invokes go, because I think we played against it 4 times, certainly 3. I don't fully remember. This has been a run across 2 days, so I do kind of forget what we played in the past, but. That's not typically what you're going to run into, and it's just kind of a dagger in the heart for Lux to run against Invoke in the final battle, since it's just such a piss poor matchup. But nonetheless, still a pretty good run. If you're looking to draft this on your own, you don't have to just be in pure Demacia. That's just what we ended up with today. The big things here are, I made a touch of mention of it at the beginning of the run, as to where you need to kind of decide if you're going to be the Prismatic Barrier or Post Lux. That tends to show up if you're in Demacia and paired with like a Fiora, or you're paired with a Garen, and you just get a lot of barriers. Or if you end up in what we are here, and what I think to be the best version of this deck, the Remembrance version, where we're going to look to pick up 3 or 4 Remembrances. We're not going to look to play any cards in the first 2 turns of the game, and then on turn 3 we want to start dropping Remembrances and just activating all of our Mage Seekers, getting a big board advantage, and then stalling things out a bit until we can either get a bigger board than our opponent and then just crush through with raw stats, or if we can just sit around with a Lux on the board and just chip away at our opponent's stuff via Final Sparks. And so the decks play out pretty similarly. That's fine. If you're going to pair this up with another faction, you do want it to be more of a spell-centric faction, and so you don't really want to be pairing this with Noxus. You don't really want to be pairing this with Bilgewater. You much prefer your combinations to be like Piltover or Shadow Isles or Targon. Because even Targon getting access to things like Sunburst or being able to invoke into big spells, just lots of combos that you can do there. And so, all in all, pretty straightforward with how we like this deck to look. Your curve is going to look a bit different than a standard, more combat-focused deck, since we do have this game plan of where we're not going to play anything until the 3rd turn. So you can kind of let these things fall. You can really look at Mage Seeker Conservator as a 4-drop, and you can kind of look at, having access to units like Grizzled Ranger. You really need to set out and focus on, like, okay, if I'm not planning on playing anything in the first 2 turns, what do we want my curve to look like now? And you could see in quite a few of those games how we got that to pan out, to where we play Remembrance and then we play Grizzled Ranger, so as like our 3 and our 4, or we play Remembrance into Mage Seeker and then have access to 3 spell mana to bank for a follow-up play, typically 2 turns away in your reinforcements. But this is just one of these things to where you need to like stop and think about what an ideal hand looks like when we aren't playing this game of the mana curve style game. We're playing this more strange style where we don't do anything until the 3rd turn, and then we might bank up another chunk of spell mana to get us into the 5th turn for a second Remembrance or a Reinforcements. So it can be a little bit awkward with how these things pan out. But those are kind of the highlights here. Our tier 1 card to pick up in this deck is Remembrance. You're going to want 3 or 4. Our tier 2 cards in this would be removal spells. So if you're able to pick up the big one to pick up, I should say, is Mage Seeker Investigator as our removal spell. But then we're also happy to pick up Detains. We're also happy to pick up Concerted Strikes, or whatever faction you branch out into, whatever that faction offers up as removal spells. Then the tier 3 of which we'll be looking to pick up here, excuse me, is just units as spells. And so in Demacia has the best units as spells. Looking at there's Quinn Bird that we passed up. There's Succession at 3. Remembrance is our tier 1, really looking for it unit as spell, and then Reinforcements as well. Some other factions do have them, like Double Trouble doesn't really play out as well. The Piltover thing that makes 1/1s doesn't really play out as well, but the 5/5 for 6 mana does play well out of Piltover. But there are other options for units as spells in this style of deck. And then kind of like the tier 4 and the filler, you do want to kind of place a higher value on spells since you're looking to build around Lux, but just kind of make sure you have something to do if this Remembrance plan doesn't fall through. You're not going to draw this every game by the 3rd turn, so you do need to have like these 1-drops just to kind of stall out the game. Things like Egghead Researcher, whatever, just some units that you can put on the board to stall until you can get either a Lux down or a Remembrance down. But that is going to do it for this run. I think we have a reward to claim here, so let's give this a click. See what we get out of this epic capsule. Shards. All shards all the time. Hey, we got a wild card though, nonetheless. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today. I hope you all enjoyed the run. You learned how to Final Spark a little bit better, and you had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.